Okay, so like I said, 9.5 is going to take 3 days for the lesson and 3 days for the work, for your homework. So this is day 2, and it's going to be using a lot of what you did in day 1. We're just going to add one step. So here we see how can you find the solutions of 5x squared minus 20x minus 60 equals 0. And on the previous video, we just had write this equation in this form. We're going to add a step right here to check and see if it's factorable. So we're going to see if the number in the front can go into everything. So we're going to take the equation 5x squared minus 20x minus 60 equals 0, and we're going to divide everything by 5 on both sides. And when we do that, we get x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. And then we're going to do the next step, which is what we did the day before, where we're getting it in this form, so we need to add 12 on both sides. And remember, when we're completing the square, we're going to leave a blank spot right after this and equal it to 12. Because after we do that, we have to then add b divided by 2 squared on both sides. So in this case, b is negative 4, and we're going to divide that by 2, which is negative 2, and then we're going to square it, which gives us positive 4. And we're going to add that to both sides. And again, remember, we add it to both sides because it is an equation and we want it to be equal. So whatever we do on one side, we have to do to the other side. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and factor it. So this squared equals 12 plus 4, 16. And then if you remember, this number in here is whatever is in before you square it. So again, this number right here goes here, and then the 4 is what you added to both sides. And now we go ahead and we just solve for x. So I'm going to square root both sides, and when we square root, we get the plus or minus. The square root of 16 is 4, and then we add 2 to both sides. And so now we have x equals 2 plus or minus 4, which is x equals 2 plus 4, or x equals 2 minus 4, so x equals 6 or negative 2. So our answer is x equals 6 or x equals negative 2. And that's that one. So now go ahead and try the next two. Remember to pause the video and then give those a try. So the first step was divide by 2 on everything. So again, we're dividing by the number that's in front of the x squared. And then when we do that, we are left with x squared minus 6x minus 27 equals 0. Then we need to get it in the right form, so we're going to add the constant, the one without the x, to both sides and leave a space. And then we're going to do the b divided by 2 squared, which in this case is 9. And then factor, and then again, oops, this was there, and then the inside goes there. Square root both sides, x minus 3 equals plus or minus 6, add 3 to both sides, and then go both ways, so we get x equals 9 or x equals negative 3. So go ahead and try the next one. Okay, so you divided by 10 on everything. Notice this side wasn't equal to 0. If you set that to 0 and added 10 to both sides first, that is completely fine. You did not have to do that. You could have just divided by 10, but either way is absolutely correct. So I just went ahead and divided by 10 on both sides. And then I added 4 on both sides. And then I did my b divided by 2 squared, factored, and then solved for x. If you have any questions, please send them to Ms. Holstad and I. We are happy to help you. I know that some of you are struggling with this remote learning, and I just want you to know that we are here for you. You need to reach out so that we can help you more, and then I know that all of you can find success in this new way of learning. So the last example that we are going to do today is a story problem or a word problem. And so example 4, complete the square when a is not equal to 1, which is what we've been doing up top there. And so we have a maze, which is pictured here, with a 2-yard wide walkway around it. And then it tells us the length of the hedge maze is twice as long as the width, and the total area is 5,616 yards squared. So when we're looking at this, it's saying what is the dimensions? Well, it gave us the area, and we know that length times width would be the area. So we know that length times width is going to equal that 5,616. And then it tells us the length is twice as long as the width. So we're going to say the width equals x, okay? Well, the maze also has a 2-yard walkway on either side of it, so the width is also going to have that plus 4. The length is 2 times that width, so 2 times our x, and then it still has that 4 on each side. So here's our length, here's our width, and we know that it equals 5,616. I'm going to add some space here. Okay, so our next step is going to go ahead and FOIL this, or use the box method. I'm going to go ahead and FOIL. So 2x times x, 2x squared, 2x times 4, 8x, 4 times x, 4x, 4 times 4, 16. And that equals 5,616 still. Combined your like terms. 2x squared plus 12x plus 16 equals 5,616. So now we can see it looks like the problem's up above with a value in front of x squared. So we're going to take everything and divide it by 2 to get rid of that. And we're going to have x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 5,616 divided by 2 is 2,808. And then we're going to do our normal subtract 8 on both sides. So now we have x squared plus 6x, leaving that space for completing that b divided by 2 squared equals 2,800. Taking our b value, which is 6, divide by 2. And then square it. So it's going to be 3 squared, which is 9. So adding 9 to both sides. I go up here. And then we're going to write it in factored form. And remember, we're going to take this value here, and that goes inside. So x plus 3 squared equals this here, 2,809. And then we're going to go ahead and solve it. So square root both sides. We get x plus 3 equals the square root of 2,809. We're just going to leave that for now. But make sure you put the plus or minus in it. Then we're going to subtract 3 on both sides. So now we have x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 2,809. If you could hear all that noise, I'm so sorry. That was my dog drinking some water. And now we're going to keep going. So x equals -3 plus the square root of 2,809. And that will give you 50. And then if you did the minus, so -3 minus the square root of 2,809, that gives you a -56. Since this number here is the width, our answer has to be positive because we're looking at a length. So it has to be the positive because of the length. So let's see here. Add some more space. Sorry, ran out of room. So our final answer the width is 50 yards. And if the width is 50 yards, then the length is 100 yards. And that's our final answer. So that's it for today. That's day 2. We will be using the same notes that we've been using so far next week for day 3. But go ahead and work on problems 11 through 14 in your homework. They will look similar to the ones before, except for they have that A value, that number in the front.